And we are back for another Acceptable Casualties battle report. Today we have 1,500 points of Guards tanks taking on 1,500 points of Panzer Company. We'll be playing surround. We'll be back in a second to go over the lists for both the Soviets and the Germans. So here we have our 1,500 points of Guards tanks for the Soviets. Down here we have our 1IC and a T-34-85. We have 2 platoons of T-34-85s. The back platoon has the tank rider tokens on the back because we decided to take a company of tank riders. We also have 4 Ziz-3 guns. We have a unit of 31M Katyushas with the Observer and their double crewed. And we also have a unit of Spetsnaz. So altogether, 1,500 points. We'll be back in a second to go over the German list. So here we have our 1,500 points of Panzer Company. Starting up here, we have the 1IC and 2IC, both in Panzer IVs. A squad of 3 Panzer IVs, 3 Stugs, 1 King Tiger with the rate of fire 3 Tigres. Down here we have 2, they just Panzer Grenadiers, right, Vin?
Walking squad.
Okay, so 2 of them. Faust's on the command staff?
Just this one.
Okay. Up over here, we have the Nebelwerfers with Observer, and we have 2 flak tracks. So altogether, 1,500 points. Back in a second to go over deployment. So we are back for our deployment phase. I'm going to go over the Soviets first. Down here, we have our 1 objective on the road, and then we have another objective over here in between the forests. For our deployment, we decided to put our Ziz-3s right over here, give them kind of a clean lane to shoot in between the forest over there and up around this hill. We also attached our 1IC over there and a T-34-85 to kind of give a little more support fire on that side. Down here on the roadway, we have 1 squad of our T-34-85s, our Observer for the Katyushas. And then down here we have our Katyushas and their command staff, kind of hidden behind the building to maybe save their bacon a little bit in these early rounds of shooting. Down here on the other flank, we decided to put our Spetsnaz over here. We didn't do the infiltration move because I didn't really have any place really good to position them that wasn't in any place that would be slow going. So we decided to throw them down here, maybe put some pressure up here along this flank a little bit later in the game. We also put our tank riders and the T-34-85s over here. Going to probably work our way up behind this farmhouse and try to make a play on that objective over there. For Vin's deployment, he has the Nebelwerfers right here facing this direction. He has 1 squad of his infantry over here dug in on this objective. He has his flak tracks over here on this hill. The Stugs and 2IC are mixed in on this side of the forest right here. There's another platoon of infantry over there on that objective. It's being supported by the Panzer IVs with the 1IC, and then an immediate ambush. Vim popped the King Tiger on the other side of the hill over there. So that's what we're looking at for deployment. We'll be back in a second for top of turn 1 for the Soviets. So we were back for top of turn 1 for the Soviets. Not the best turn, but it wasn't terrible either. So in the moving phase on this entire flank, we decided to stay still and let off a volley of fire. We really didn't move anybody. On this side, we decided to push up our 1 tank platoon over here and kind of just try to get a little cover in the back of this little farm area down here. And we pushed up our Spetsnaz along the flank over here. In the shooting phase, fired a bunch of machine gun shots from the Spetsnaz over into the Nebelwerfers. We ended up getting 2 hits, but no kills off of that. We used our T-34-85s to fire a bunch of shots into the Stugs, and we missed on everything out of this group right here. Back on this side of the table, we used our Nebelwerfers to try to range in on we used our rockets to try to range in on the Nebelwerfers, and we ended up missing on a range in, so that wasn't that good. We used the T-34-85s that were right here to blow up all the flak tracks over here. I figured I'd get these guys off the table before they just roll in and start trying to shoot up my Ziz guns. And we got a platoon off the table as well. Over here, we used our Ziz-3s and the T-34-85 to fire a bunch of shots into the tanks that were over here. We had a couple of hits, but Vin made, 4 saves, I think, from the Ziz guns. And then we missed 2 shots with our 1IC. So overall, okay turn. We got rid of the platoon, but, would have been nice to get a couple more of those tanks off the table. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 1 for the Germans. So we are back for bottom of turn one for the Germans. In the movement phase, Vin just swung around his King Tiger up there along that hill. That's his move with the Stormtrooper put into it. He swung his 1IC around the back of the forest over there to get a better angle going down there as far as firing goes. In the shooting phase, the King Tiger and the Stugs down here fired a volley of shots into the T-34-85s. The King Tiger missed, and then they had two hits with the Stugs. I made both tank saves, and then the tank riders on the back passed all my infantry saves except for one with that 3-up. And then Soviet tank riders are able to stay on the tanks; they don't have to dismount after they're hit. So that worked out pretty well for that turn. Over on this flank, the Panzer IVs over there fired a couple shots down here into the Ziz guns. I made my 5-up save on one of them, and the command team, I failed my save, but Vin failed his firepower, so they live to fight another day over there. That was the only shooting that happened this phase, so we'll be coming back in the top of turn 2 for the Soviets. So we are back for top of turn 2 for the Soviets. In the movement phase, we took our T-34-85s that were placed over here, and we kind of swung around to get some alleyways to shoot here along the road and into those trees over there. We stayed put with the Ziz guns and the T-34-85. Down here, we pushed up our Spetsnaz that were over here and kind of got them on this side of the farm to give a little support fire for those T-34-85s that pushed up in through the middle over there as well. In the shooting phase, we dropped the bombardment from the Katyushas. We fired a bunch of machine gun shots into the Nebelwerfers. Weren't able to kill anybody, but Vin made like all of his saves. But we did pin the unit. Up over here, the T-34-85s were able to blow up one of the Stugs, hitting them on that side armor. And then the Ziz guns were able to peel off one of the Panzer IVs that were tucked around over here. That's all the shooting that we had for this turn. We'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 2 for the Germans. So we are back for the bottom of turn 2 for the Germans. Pretty good turn for Vin. In the movement phase, the King Tiger stayed still over there, as well as the one I see on the top of the table. Infantry platoons didn't move. Nebelwerfers didn't unpin. Down here, Vin just made a huge parking lot here, Stugs and Panzer IVs facing every which way. In the shooting phase, Vin was able to do a boatload of damage down here between some Stugs, some Panzer IVs, and the King Tiger. He blew up 2 of the T-34-85s. He bailed out the other 2. The only one that's really left in the fight is the T-34-85 boss man. And the tank riders, I lost 5 bases, right? Yeah, I lost 5 bases, so they're still hanging in right now. Down over here on this side, Vin was able to kill one of the Ziz guns, and then he was able to bail out one of the T-34-85s over here. So that's all the shooting that we had for the Germans.
One more thing. So with all the shots that happened, I had 4 failed 3-up firepowers.
Oh yeah, that's right, you did.
Yes, it could have been a lot more devastating.
It could have been. You should get some weighted dice. They usually work out a little bit better. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 3 for the Soviets. So we're back for the top of turn 3 for the Soviets. I forgot to do my motivation last turn for the tanks down here. I ended up rolling a 1, so those T-34-85s ended up breaking off. But back to what we were doing. So in the movement phase, I ended up pushing up my tank riders over here, just hanging out along here, waiting to make a push. Up on this side, we moved our T-34-85s to right there. And we really didn't move anything else. Everybody else still kind of just stayed put, waiting to get a little bit of pressure. In the shooting phase, like I said, we pushed up over here, fired a bunch of cannon shots over into that Stug right there, and we missed everything. We used our Ziz guns over here and the 1IC to fire a bunch of shots into this Panzer IV platoon that was there. We were able to blow one up, and we forced them to take a motivation test and ended up failing that. We did fire our Katyusha into here as well, but we weren't able to range in once again. Or no, we did range in, but Vin ended up making the save. And then the Spetsnaz down here, we shot a bunch of shots into the Nebelwerfers trying to pull one out, and we did. We ended up killing one of the Nebelwerfer bases over there. We then tried to assault with the Tank Rider Company, and Vin had 6 shots from rifles, supporting fire, all that jazz, and he got 6 hits. I didn't fail any saves, thankfully, but that assault was thwarted against the Nebelwerfers. So that's what we're looking at right now for the top of turn 3. We'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 3 for the Germans. So we are back for bottom of turn 3, and Vin, he just returned the favor. One crappy turn for another.
Yeah.
In the movement phase, Vin swung the King Tiger on the road, making his way up over there. The Stugs turned around over here to face those T-34s, and the 2IC, he ended up turning around with his turret, and then his Stormtrooper moved back over there. Everything else pretty much stayed still across here. Vin was able to unpin the Nebelwerfers. In the shooting phase, Vin fired a whole bunch of shots. Was it 5 shots between the Stugs and the 2IC?
Yeah.
And he was able to get just a bail. So that was awesome. And then down there, Vin had 2 shots with the 1IC down here at the Ziz guns. He had 2 hits. I made 1 save with the commander, and then Vin failed at firepower on one of the Ziz guns, so they are still okay, living to fight another day. So overall, Vin paid me back nicely on that one. Thank you, Vin. And then we're gonna roll to the top of turn 4, see if we can actually get some things rolling here and do away with some of these tanks. So I'll be back in a flash. So we are back for top of turn 4 for the Soviets. This is a pretty interesting turn. A little bit of good and a little bit of bad. So in the movement phase, we weren't able to get in either one of these tanks. We decided to stay still over here. We decided to roll up the Ziz guns over there and ended up moving our 1IC into the woods over there. Down here, we ended up using our our tank riders, moved them up a little bit, fired some shots. Didn't even get a pin with all the SMG fires on the Nebelwerfers. And then we ended up going into assault, and we lost to a bunch of artillery bases, and we fled the field. So Commissar is going to be shooting some of those cowardly bastards after the end of this game. Down on this side of the table, things went a little bit better. We had our 1IC fire on Vin's 1IC, and we were able to blow him up. So that was pretty huge for us. And then down here, these Ziz guns split fire. They had shot at the infantry over there, and then they fired a couple shots down here, and we weren't able to get any hits. The 3 T-34s that were able to shoot fired into the Stugs. We were able to blow up 1 Stug, and Vin failed his motivation, so that was pretty huge. So Vin's down 3 platoons right now. And then we fired the Katyushas over here, and we were able to pin and peel off one of the infantry bases that were dug in over here. So decent turn. A little upsetting about those tank riders not being able to take out the Nebelwerfers. Probably going to end up paying for that one next turn, but we'll see. So we're here at bottom of turn 4 for the Germans, see if they can answer the call. So we are back for top of turn 4 for the Germans. In the movement phase, Vin was able to unpin his infantry down here. He moved the Tiger up the road a little bit further and kept the Panzer and the other infantry squads and Nebelwerfers as they were. In the shooting phase, but the King Tiger was able to pop one of the T-34s down here. The Panzer, Vin had another hit, but he failed another firepower. It's been the story of the game. So I got 3 of those guys just bailed sitting there. The Nebelwerfers also dropped a bombardment down here. Vin ended ranging in, and then he had the reroll successes, and he ended up missing on the one that he did have. So that's all we're looking at right now for the bottom of turn 4. We'll be back in a second for top of turn 5 for the Soviets. So we are back for top of turn 5 for the Soviets. In this turn in movement, we decided to swing our Spetsnaz over around over here, try to get a better angle and not get shot at. We failed to get all 3 of these tanks back in, so this is probably be the turn that we ended up paying for it. We took our 1IC, pushed him up, fired some shots, assaulted, got killed in assault through 5 rounds of combat. I didn't hit Vin once, and Vin made every tank terror to get back into the fights. So that 1IC, he was terrible. He deserved to die.
Yeah, I mean, all those missed firepower.
This is where all the dice ended up coming into play. We fired a bunch of shots from the Ziz guns in over there. I think we killed 1 base from them. We fired the Katyusha there as well. We were able to get one hit, but Vin ended up making a save. Down here, we ended up firing our 2 shots and missed on the Panzer. And then over here with the Spetsnaz, we fired a bunch of machine gun fire. We ended up killing one of the Nebelwerfer bases. If Vin, in this upcoming turn, is able to do any damage to this platoon over here and I fail that motivation test, this is going to be game over because I don't have any commanders left on the table. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 5 for the Germans. See what they can do. We are back for bottom of turn 5 for the most anticlimactic ending of a turn ever. So Vin decided to keep everybody still, fired 5 shots between the King Tiger and the Panzer. All Vin got was a bail. So
Felt 2 more firepower.
fell 2 more firepower. So we're going to be back for the top of turn 6. I can't believe that this game is continuing. This is terrible. All right, so back in the flesh, top of turn 6. So we're back for top of turn 6 for the Soviets. If you see 4 T-34-85s over there, it's because we were able to get everyone back in the tank right now. So that was pretty awesome. Movement phase, we decided instead of standing off here and shooting into the Panzers and dealing with that King Tiger, we swung everybody around over here the best we could and got into assault range with the infantry platoon that was over there. So in the shooting phase, we fired the Katyusha. Vin made his saves. We weren't able to hit anybody. Fired a bunch of machine gun shots, a bunch of shots from the Ziz guns. We were able to kill one guy in shooting and then one guy in close combat, and we were able to push a little bit closer to that objective over there. Down here, we fired a bunch of machine gun shots into the commander over here, and Vin was able to make all of his saves. So we're going into the top of turn 6 right now. This is pretty close, man. I don't know. This can swing either way. I think this one's literally going to come down to somebody's bad dice rolls, and hopefully it's your sucky dice. So back in a second for bottom of turn 6 for the Germans. So we're back for bottom of turn 6 for the Germans. In the movement phase, Vin forgot to unpin those infantry over there and didn't realize it until like the end of the shooting phase. So kind of lucked out. We'll see how that works out. Vin moved the King Tiger up to the top of the hill over there, and he swung his Panzer down around over here. In the shooting phase, Vin was able to take out one of the half tracks with the Spetsnaz in it. He was able to bail out again with the King Tiger, failed the firepower. So that didn't work out too well. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 7.
I think so. Yeah.
This is gross. This game should have ended like 5 times over. So we'll be back in a flash, top 7 for the Soviets. So we're back for top of turn 7 for the Soviets. Down here, we took our Spetsnaz and swung around the house in movement. We decided to push up and get better position with our T-34s to make an assault on that infantry platoon right there. We failed to get that guy back in the tank. In the shooting phase, we fired the Ziz guns, we fired machine guns, all in that infantry platoon. I think we were able to kill 2 guys out of that. And then we fired a bombardment down here from the Katyushas. We were able to kill 1 guy out of there, and then we failed to kill anybody from the Spetsnaz shooting out of the back of the half track right there. In assaults, we went in, we were able to kill 1 base in assaults. Vin failed his motivation to get back into the fight, and then he passed his motivation to keep those guys on the table. So we're going to be going into bottom of turn 7 right now, and the way things look, I'm going to put my money on Vin winning it this turn between that King Tiger and down here, that Panzer. All he needs to do is take out 1 platoon, and that's it. It's lights out for the Soviets. We'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 7. So we are back for the bottom of turn 7 for the Germans, and Vin finally did it. It took 7 turns of just bailing people out, but it paid off. It paid off. So in the movement phase, Vin swung his Panzer IV around here. He ended up getting cannon shot to hit on the Spetsnaz, but he only got a bail. But I think we played it right where if you bail them, they have to do the motivation to see if they break from the table and go back in the reserves, and they did because it's a transport. You guys might want to hit me up in the comments, but I think we played that right. But it really didn't matter because down here, Vin fired 3 shots with his King Tiger. He had 2 hits. He was able to bail 1, blow up 1, and I only had 1 tank left with 2 blown up. So I had to do a motivation test, and I rolled a 1. So Vin ended up pulling it out, bottom of turn 7, win for the Germans. We'll be back in a second to go over the end of the game recap. So we are back for the end of the game recap. I'll go over the Soviets first, kind of what my plan was. Vin wanted me to point something out. It is pretty ridiculous. So out of the 11 tanks I had on the table, only 4 of them blew up. And I think throughout the course of the game, Vin probably had close to, 8 to 10 bailouts.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, through the course of the game. So yeah, not good firepower tests for Vin by any means. But back to what I was saying for the Soviets. So my original plan was to get these guys down here with the tank riders and the Spetsnaz and make a push up here and try to get some pressure on the Nebelwerfers and then make a push on the back side of that objective to keep Vin's tanks honest along that back rim over there and maybe keep the Tiger occupied on that side of the table. Back over here, this location actually worked out really good for the Katyushas. Really nobody can get a shot on them, and I was able to cover in the middle of the table. It just kind of worked out for the deployment and the game type that we rolled up. So this was like almost like a match made in heaven, and they did pretty good. They were able to dig out a couple infantry guys, keep some people pinned. Like I said, I think they might have been the MVP of the game for me. Them or the Ziz guns, because the Ziz guns actually did pretty good because they popped a couple tanks, and they kept Vin honest with the tanks in the middle of the table as well. But what I was thinking over here was with these tanks, I was going to push down along here like I did and make another play on that objective at the same time as the other tank company. But as you guys saw, that never really came to fruition at all. Between them getting hung up in there and just bailing out early on the failed motivation, and the tank riders just getting beat back twice, I think. Well, once on assault for getting pinned down and getting shot back, and then failing miserably on their other assault when they got on the Nebelwerfers. That kind of really stunted that assault on that lower objective. And that kind of forced me to swing back around here in desperation and see if we could steal the game with a little bit of support fire from those Ziz guns. But obviously that didn't work out when you got a fresh King Tiger sitting on the top of the hill, just waiting to plug away at you. It really didn't work out. Like I said, this game was kind of crippled for me once those tank riders and those T-34s kind of failed to get past that farmhouse right there. It was almost a lost cause. I didn't have enough firepower left on the table to take out that King Tiger, and I just had to really play to take a couple of the platoons off, force Vin to make some motivation tests, and see if I can get a break. But as you can see, that really didn't work out too well for me. Vin, what were you thinking as far as your setup and how you ended up countering my assault?
The setup, I think, worked very well. Like, the whole point of having these guys here, I just wanted to watch one side of each table with tanks.
Yeah.
Obviously, I used my King Tiger in the immediate ambush, and I kept him just, at least for the first turn, to not have to worry about getting any side shots on him. I think the big defining moment, because things weren't really going my way, like right off the bat, was when I had the King Tiger over here, and I think I needed 5 ups.
Oh, yeah.
I had like all 3 shots and popped 2 and bailed 1, and that completely stunted.
Yeah, that was bad news down here. Yeah, that thing was like turn 2 or 3, or it was bottom 2. Yeah, that was that put a pretty big hamper on how that assault was going down on this side. Yeah, I like how having that hill over there, it kept your back of the Panzer IVs pretty well hidden as far as me being able to get some rear shots from down here into them. So that kind of kept them in a pretty good spot to at least keep me honest on that side of the table for a couple turns over there. But the worst was just the exchange over here between these tanks, between when you had your 2IC and the Stugs and my T-34s. I mean, we couldn't do anything right over there. I mean, that was just absolutely terrible. And then the firepower checks. I think you could have won this game.
A lot of bails and a lot of misses.
Yeah, you could have won this game way earlier, I think, than you did. I mean, there's really no reason this is went to the bottom of turn 7. I didn't play that well, and your dice just failed you. That's the only reason this game went that long. But congratulations to Vin, Panzerkompanie pulling one out. I guess we'll be back next week with another battle report. So thanks for watching. Hit the like or subscribe, all that jazz. We'll see you guys later.